In 2021, we bought this property for £115,000 and it generates over £25,000 per year in rent.
In this video, we are going to take a closer look at the numbers on this deal, how much this property cost us, how much it makes us, and everything that we did to get the property from looking like this to like this.
And if you're new here, I'm Lia.
And I'm AK.
And this is our channel where we talk about property investing, business, and working together as a couple.
If you're watching this and you want to create passive income for yourself and maybe your family, and if you are prepared to do all the hard work up front, then click that subscribe button for more on starting or elevating your property journey.
So let's get into the video.
Now we'll first talk about finding the deal. Now people assume the best deals are off market, and whilst this can definitely be true, this was actually a Rightmove find.
That's right, there was no direct contact with the vendor, no friend of a friend. It was simply listed with an agent, and AK saw it whilst he was scrolling, I think on his lunch break, and we immediately called up and booked ourselves a viewing for that very same day.
And we then placed an offer around 30 minutes or so after viewing the property.
It's worth mentioning here that the year before we had purchased another property just one street away from this one that we're talking about. So we knew the numbers and what we would need to purchase this for in order for it to return what we wanted.
So because we were repeating essentially the same project, we knew the tenant type and that there was high demand based on the other properties that we had nearby.
So let's talk about the asking price of the property. They wanted £115,000 and our offer was £115,000.
Now you might be thinking that we maybe missed a trick here, but the reason we didn't try to negotiate down was because there was a lot of people sniffing around it at the time, and so speed was definitely our priority. We knew that the numbers would work if we were to purchase this at 115,000, and we didn't really want to get into a bidding war. We just wanted to offer what the family wanted to get the deal done speedily.
And the agent had told us that it was a probate property, which was quite clear anyway from walking around it. And if this is something that you're unfamiliar with, then we'll link up a video in the cards above all about what probate property is. We were also told that the house had previously been sold to another buyer, but the deal had fallen through. For us as investors, that's kind of code word for speed is preferred because the family have now been messed around. So we just wanted to offer them the asking price and know that hopefully with the seller being motivated, they would accept their next best offer due to being let down by the previous buyer.
And usually if you can genuinely vouch for speed, then you'll likely get an offer accepted fairly quickly. So as mentioned previously, we knew from the previous two projects which we completed in the area that the numbers worked if we were able to purchase at £115,000. What we mean is if we were able to purchase the property at £115,000, refurbish it at around about £60,000 and refinance it with a new mortgage and a predicted valuation of £160,000, that the rental numbers would still positively cash flow. Here is what we did to the property. Now as you enter the property, we turned the very first reception room into a bedroom with an ensuite. Now all of these types of properties that we've been renovating are all very similar, so once we understood the layout of the first one, we then translated that into the second, the third, and so on. As you go through into the second reception room, we changed that into a communal space for the house. The kitchen stayed in the same location, and at the back of the kitchen becomes the off-suite for one of the rooms upstairs. Upstairs, we then have two double bedrooms, both with en-suites, and at the back of the house is a single bedroom that has exclusive use of the off-suite bathroom downstairs just past the kitchen. The new entrance to the property becomes the entrance via the kitchen, which is accessed through a shared alleyway down the side of the house.
So how much did this all cost, including this HMO refiguration? Let's take a closer look at the numbers. We'll start off with the purchase price. So as you know, we offered 115. Our offer was accepted. We bridged 86,000 of it and we paid the rest using our own savings and money. So if you aren't familiar with bridging loans, then drop us a comment below, as we'd really like to do a video all about that type of finance because we use it a lot in our investment strategies, but it is quite niche and we aren't sure how many of you would want to see a video on it. So please do let us know.
So as we said, we purchased this property for £115,000. Now the refurbishment costs, including all the legals and the stamp duty and all those bits, came to a total of £62,373. Now we purchased this, as Leah said, on a bridge, and the bridge was £86,250. Just a small caveat, this cash flow calculator doesn't go into absolute minute minute detail, but it gives you an overview of pretty much what we're looking at here. Now, the refinance on this particular property actually did come in at £160,000. That was the new value of the property. So 75% loan to value was £120,000. So we had a new mortgage on this property for £120,000. Now, at the time, the interest rate was 3.44%, which meant that the monthly mortgage was £344, and that was an interest-only mortgage. The rent for this property was £2,120. That is as of today. We have a 10% management on there, and the monthly operating expenses come to around about £530 a month. Now, this will vary depending on the season, because in the winter, obviously the electricity and the gas is a lot higher than the summertime, but this just gives you a bit of an overview as to what it currently looks like. The cash flow then becomes £1,000 or just over £1,000 a month, making the return on the investment 22%.
So just a note on finance, as I was saying earlier, we bridged our way into this deal and we used our own funds. But then when it came to doing the refurbishments, we actually needed to raise money from private investors in order to have all of the money needed to complete this deal. If this is something that you might be interested in becoming an investor with us, then please do reach out using the links below in our description and we can talk to you a little bit more about that. Now, here's a quote from our contractor, which breaks down the cost of every part of the refurbishment. This is something that a lot of you guys have asked for in previous videos. So I just want to place this up on screen now because it is worth bearing in mind that the cost of labour and materials have gone up since we did this project in 2021. But it's really helpful if you're new to property investing and you've got no idea what things cost.
Now, there were some unexpected costs which came up. These were around about £4,000 on damp proofing. Once the builders did the strip out, there was some rising damp on the ground floor, and we hadn't spotted this before purchasing the property because, of course, it was covered up. It's also worth bearing in mind that we didn't get a survey done, which is actually not something that we would recommend.
You can watch some of the videos of the refurbishment process on our video, which we'll link up in the cards above.
Now, to be honest, even with the survey, we would have just paid an extra £450,000 to find out that we had damp, which we had already discovered anyway, and then treated it.
So we've spoken about this in our mistakes we've made as investors, which will also be linked up, and you can watch that video after this one. So then we got the property refinanced, which AK showed you earlier in his spreadsheet, and it did come out at £160,000. We pulled 75% of the equity out of the property. We paid off the bridging loan, which was around £86,000. And this all happened in a space of about 6 months because the bridging loan only lasts for 12 months. And then it's a short-term lending. So you've got to do the works, get your remortgage and get that paid off. So once all the fees were deducted, solicitors were paid and debts were paid, we were left with £33,000, 864, which I'll show you here on this completion statement. That is what landed into our account after the refinance was done, and after that it was a case of moving on to the new mortgage and getting the property rented out.
Now, obviously, that money that Leah's talking about that lands in our account can then be used in any potential projects in the future and be reinvested in those.
So in 2021, the rent was actually a little bit less than this, but as AK showed you earlier, the total figure for the rent right now in 2024 is £2,120 per month, and it's broken up like this. One of the rooms rents for £550, next one £545, next one £520, and the smallest room at £505 per month.
So that's £25,440 per year gross rent. And as always with HMO properties, bear in mind that this is an all bills included property. So we pay for things like council tax, the utilities such as gas and electric and internet as well. And that's just something to bear in mind when you are looking at your costs as well.
So we hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through to the end. If you are interested in elevating or starting your property journey, then do click on the link below, which will take you to our website, www.propertycouple.co.uk, where we'll be sharing lots of free resources and helpful tips.
And if you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
Take care. Bye bye.